Good day and greetings to the Great White North. My name is Prickly Poo and welcome to day 30 of a year of change. I originally had a different video set up for today, and everything was all done, everything was completed, I had everything rendered, and it's a really, really heavy video to start the week out with. So I think I'm going to wait for that when we do a week on body image, because it was really just grim to start things out with. It was about childhood obesity, which we will get to at some point. But I just felt to start things off, especially where we are, each week we're starting off something new. It's probably best to leave that for a really heavy week when we do everything on body image. So I'm going to do something a little bit different today instead, and we'll sort of set that one aside, and I'll redo it when I need to. After everything was all done and rendered, I just thought it's too much to start on a Monday, so we'll leave it at that. But last night when I was going around near the end of the night, I realized that I had a lot of calories left to go through for the rest of the day. It was just what I had eaten throughout the day. I didn't have a lot of time, and I just didn't. The stuff that I ate was very low calorie as well. So at the end of the night, I had about 700 or 800 calories left for the day, and I found myself thinking, okay, well, I should get it close because if I log everything now, it's not going to register because I think I'd mentioned it before. If you're above your goal or if you're too far below your goal, it won't register and give you that little they have reached their goal for the day. So I didn't want anything too heavy, so I opted out just for toast and some milk or something. But I realized afterwards that I probably shouldn't have done that. That sort of goes in line with our eating habits that we've been trying to get rid of. Because at the time, it was like 9 or 10 at night. My day was done. I wasn't really hungry. I was just sort of munchy, but it wasn't anything that I could have just gone to bed and it would have been fine. So I figured I would bring that up today because it's something that I suspect some of you have run into as well. That if at the end of the day, for whatever reason, maybe you just didn't get around to eating if you had a busy day, or the stuff that you did eat throughout the day was really low calorie but filling, which is in my case, and you have a large number of calories left to finish off, I don't know if it's just sort of habit that we think, well, I better finish those off because I have them there. When what I should have really done is just accept the fact that I wasn't hungry and just go to bed. Or have a drink of water or something, because chances are that's all it was. But it's just that sort of attitude of, well, I have an option to eat food and I really should. That sort of bothered me after the fact, of course, and when I realized what had happened. Because, again, I wasn't really hungry. Like, even though I only had a couple of pieces of toast, just at the end of it, I didn't need it, and could have just easily done without it. So that's sort of what I want to talk about today, is that if some of you are in that same situation where at the end of the day you have a large number of calories left, really sort of get to a point where you can look at it and think, well, if you're legitimately hungry, obviously, you have something to finish off the day. But if you have those, it's okay to have them, to leave them there. And that's what I should have really done yesterday. Because I can always go in later on and edit the feed so that it still says I'm under my goal, even though I'm way, way under. And MyFitnessPal does that so that people won't starve themselves, because you'll get that little warning pop up that'll say you've eaten too few calories. And they do that just to prevent people from going on starvation diets and that sort of thing. But in my situation, I was done for the day. I wasn't hungry. And it wasn't a matter of starving myself throughout the day. It's just that I had sort of eaten the same thing all day, and it was a really, really low calorie stuff. And although in my head, part of me was thinking, well, I need those calories. I obviously don't. But, I wasn't hungry. I shouldn't have eaten it and should have just had a drink or gone to bed or something. So it's very easy to sort of fall into that trap of having those extra calories and thinking, well, it's late at night, I've got half an hour, now I can have my piece of cake or whatever. And I realize I do talk about cake an awful lot, but what better sweet thing is there? Like, there's cookies, which are and, Twinkies and all those little things, but cake is just cake. Anyway, so if you do get into that situation, that, I suppose, is a good time to start really looking at things and changing the way that you view the food, so that when you're in the same situation that I was in, you can look at it and say, no, it's the end of the day, I'm not hungry, I just did really, really, really well. I mean, obviously, if you're doing this every single day, then no, you probably need to sort of pick it up a little bit, because you don't want to go on a starvation diet, because then you're just going to yo-yo back to where you were before. But having one of those days where things just went really well, food-wise anyway, that maybe you didn't have time to finish everything off at the end of the day and you just sort of want to call it a night, it's okay to have that big gap for a day here and there, because as we discussed before, there are going to be days here and there when you're going to go over. So, of course, there are going to be days when you're way, way under. Now, if that's the main concern that you have, and that's usually the thing you like having that 35 days in a row or whatever it is, and then every single day seeing that you've reached into your goal. If it's one of those days where this has happened, but you haven't starved yourself, you've eaten properly, and it just, as it so happens, you have a big bunch left when you do log in for the night. Sorry. And if it doesn't pop up with that, if it just says they finished their diary for the day, you can always go in to the website and change the feed so that it says that you're still under your goal. Because you are still under your goal, and it's not a matter of going in and starving yourself to get to that point. It's just that MyFitnessPal tends to look at it and says, no, you're not eating healthily, so we aren't going to give you that little credit. Now, I wouldn't recommend, if you go over, don't go back in and say, oh, I've still reached my goal. Because then it's just not going to work for you, because you're going to go over every single day, go back in, change it, and you're going to be fine. But in situations like this, then you should be able to go in, and that way, when you can go back and look through your history, you're going to have 1 or 2 days where you've gone over, which is fine. You'll be able to pick those out, and then you'll see 1 or 2 days where you were way, way under. But with this, at least that way, you still know that you were under your goal. And if you're going in all the time to change it, then you might need to sort of rearrange your goals. Maybe you're exercising more. Maybe your job is a physical job and you're losing more weight, so you're always under. So you can sort of tweak those things back and forth as you need them. In your job, if you have one where you're just sitting all the time and you don't exercise, then your goals are probably where they need to be. But if you find that you're consistently under, not way, way under, but enough that you have another meal every single day left over, then you might want to take a look at your goals and sort of switch things around there, even if it's to slow the weight loss or whatever you're looking to do. Because ideally, you don't really want to go over, say, 1 or 2 pounds a week. That's going to allow you to lose weight at a consistent rate, along with the rest of us. It's going to allow you to eat pretty much what you want to eat without starving yourself or always going over. And on the aesthetic side of it, when you do lose the weight, it's going to give your body time to pretty much shrink back to where it needs to be, so that you're not going to have a whole bunch of extra skin, which sounds really gross, but that's for huge weight loss things. So I just sort of wanted to touch base with you on that and set aside the really, really heavy stuff that I had already prepared, because it is a little much. And what I'll do is just I'll redo that one when we come to that. I would like to do a week where we're talking about body image, which sort of, not just the way that we look at ourselves, but how we see other people, and how it's sort of bleeding out and affecting other people, like men, women, and children as well. But I think it was just a little too deep for first thing Monday morning to work on, and it would be depressing throughout the entire day. So this one is a little bit lighter, and hopefully it's a little bit more encouraging as well that, it's okay to have those large gaps in there. And although I didn't do it last night, if you do find that you have a large number of calories left, go through, make sure that you've documented everything that you needed to. And it might just be that you've just had a really good day. I had made homemade chicken stew, and with just chicken and broth, pretty much. But because of what I had put into it, it was really, really filling, but hardly any calories to it. You'd have a huge bowl for 200 calories. So that's pretty much what I just ate throughout the day because it was really, really good. And if I had eaten a regular meal, I would have easily reached my goal. It just so happens that I ate something that was really, really filling and extremely low calorie. So if you do run into those situations, that's fine. Leave that as it is. Finish off your day. And if you need to, you can always go in and add that little, and they were under their goal. Because you were, but it wasn't, you weren't under it. I'm going to say under false pretenses, but that's not exactly accurate. You were under it without deviating from what our plan is over the next year. It was just a good day for you. And as I said, we're going to have good days, we're going to have bad days. When the bad days come, we're going to roll with those. And I think we should do that with these good days as well. That it's going to give you a little bit of a boost. And, the next day, you're probably going to meet your goal and you're going to be fine. But to be able to say, yeah, I was really, really under one day, and I wasn't hungry, I didn't starve myself, I didn't do anything outside of the ordinary, that's the way the numbers went. We'll feel a lot better than instead of doing what I did and saying, well, I still have an hour, I think I'll, eat something that will get me close to my goal. And although it was just toast and milk, it was still one of those things that I didn't need, and that's what we need to get away from, is just eating for the sake of eating. Not because we're hungry and not because we crave something that our body obviously needs, but just eating for the sake of eating, whether it's boredom or, in my case, to prevent prevent from hitting a goal, which still sounds really odd. I still would have hit it because I was still below. But anyway, just sort of keep that in mind when you're doing these, because it is going to happen from time to time, which is good. We have discussed a lot of the going over in special situations or just having a bad day or things like that. And it wasn't until last night that I thought there are going to be those times when you're way, way under. And it's, as far as your news feed is going to go on MyFitnessPal, it's going to see the same thing. So the main thing is with this whole program that we're doing is to eat healthy. And if you're starving yourself every day to reach that goal, then that's not as healthy as, well, it's not healthy, period. And you really shouldn't be. You should be eating enough that you're not hungry. You are going to have some hungry moments, obviously, but not to the point where you're starving yourself. Because, again, if you put this in your mind as a diet, then it's not going to work. Although chances are, you're 30 days in, you're probably going to be okay. You probably haven't reached that point. I don't think we've cut out anything, really, we've sort of suggested alternatives to stuff, but you shouldn't be cutting any foods out. If you are, and it's still working for you, then great. But, a month in, and you're still with us, then chances are this isn't a diet for you. So if you have those days, roll with them, sort of edit your feed as you need to, and just take them as, a freebie, pretty much. But I'm starting to ramble once again, so I'm going to leave this video here. So thank you very much for watching. If you liked it, please poke the like button for me, and in the meantime, keep yourself warm and fuzzy, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.